a part of Israel's Haifa harbor that never hits the headlines. 750,000 arriving immigrants, straining for their first sight of the promised land, did not look here. But this part of the harbor is as important as the passenger docks they came to. This is the anchorage for the trawlers of Israel's deep-sea fishing fleet. And each tough little ship is a link in the country's chain of survival. To the men who work the fishing trawlers, what they do is a simple thing, based upon the simple, hard fact that the people must eat or the nation will die. In Israel's austere diet, fish is the most important protein food. The trawlers help to feed the people. But there aren't enough trawlers, and half the 30,000 tons of fish needed every year must still be imported at a cost of $6 million yearly. Israel is determined to supply all of this vital food through its own resources. In order to expand the fishing industry, to buy more ships, and to train thousands of new immigrants, the government and United Israel Appeal agencies will invest $18 million. By 1960, Israel's deep-sea trawlers will be spreading their nets in half the oceans of the world, and this source of food will be secure. "30 miles south of Haifa, another link is being forged in the same chain of survival. Here, the red-roofed houses of Mehmoret village stand like an oasis in the desert. In 1945, 40 young fishermen began to build here the first of the farm and fishing villages on Israel's coast. The village took root in the sand, and little by little, the settlers pushed back the desert to make room for themselves and their children, and for the small green gardens they planted around every house. At first glance, Mehmoret looks the same as many other farm communities in Israel. But this village is different from the other settlements it so closely resembles. The settlers here are fishermen first and farmers second. They grow only the food they need for their own use. Most of their work is on the trawler they sail out of Haifa port. The main fields they plow are many miles out at sea, and the main crop they harvest is fish. To establish commercial fishing as a major industry, Israel has had to open schools to train the necessary personnel. The free fraternity of the sea is a lure to every boy, and the chance to learn from men who are themselves fishermen brings boys flocking to this school near Mehmoret. Out of the hundreds who apply each year, only 50 of those who have finished high school are chosen. Many of the boys have come to Israel from a dozen different countries. For 3 years, they will live and work together, learning to trust and to depend on each other in the close fellowship of the sea. And out of this common experience, most of them will join together to form fishing cooperatives of their own. fishermen teach these lads more than the ways of the sea. The students learn that Israel, like the sea itself, knows no differences of birth or origin. In the second year, the classrooms move from the shops and the schoolhouse to the sea. Here the boys begin the practical work of net handling, seamanship, and navigation. Now they begin to form regular crews. Although sailing vessels are not used in offshore fishing, the boys get their first sea legs on the fleet of small sailboats the school maintains in its own harbor near Mikmor. Yes, they've learned to tell the halyards from the sheets. They can step a mainmast and run a tight ship. These boys who 2 years ago might have gotten seasick on a ferry boat. They are beginning to be seamen. The weather permits, the boats put out from Mikmor Harbor, carrying the future skippers of Israel's deep-sea fishing fleet. Deep inland in the areas of greatest rainfall, in Galilee and the Emek Bet-Shan, settlements helped by the United Israel Appeal are farming fish in scores of artificial ponds. Fish are planted like wheat in these special breeding ponds and need the same continuing care and attention. Scientific feeding methods coax the greatest possible yield from every acre of water. "10,000 acres of fish ponds are now giving Israel more than 3,000 tons of fish every year. Since 1948, many new immigrants have found work in the fish breeding industry. They have helped to establish more than 30 new settlements and have tripled the acreage devoted to this form of agriculture. The artificial ponds are a new element in this country, and everything had to be learned the hard way, through trial and error. But now the effort is paying off in vitally needed food. It is not easy. Even the harvest, after months of constant effort, is tough and disagreeable work. A net dragging with mud and water and squirming fish is backbreaking to pull. But it means food on the tables of Israel. Tactzir haaretz, homegrown. On the shores of the inland Sea of Galilee, modern fishing settlements stand where the Jews of biblical times once cast their nets. After centuries of dispersion, the Jews have returned to this historic spot. And in 1937, the fishing cooperatives of Ein Gev and Ginosar founded their settlements and built their boatyards here. With the coming of dusk, the ancient shorelines become active. And so it is now, as it once was long ago. Every night, the Jewish fishermen go out to fling their wide nets into the Sea of Galilee and to reap once again the harvest from the waters.